The group of islands called Palagruza lie on the open sea as a doorway to the central part of the Adriatic. The winds are stronger here and often change directions. The sea is fiercer and erodes the coastline, and salt covers the entire land. There are no springs of fresh water, and it does not rain very often. In spite of this, it has always been an important island. There's a lighthouse which looks out to Mola Palagruza and its 13 small crags and rock faces, and the low-lying Galiula, the southernmost point in the Croatian Adriatic. Palagruza comes from the Greek word pelagos, which means open sea. Palagruza is a sentinel, inaccessible and distant and surrounded by legend. This is the footprint of the Greek hero Diomedes on the rocks of Velerjolo. The island was once named after these rocks. There is an abundance of beautiful primordial flora and fauna in the sea depths that encircle Palagruza. There is a profusion of life in this undersea world, shaped over the millennia by the pounding of the sea. There is an entire gallery of living organisms which lie hidden in its numerous submerged caves and on its rocky shores. Spiny lobsters take first place among them. Making sure that their tasty tails are well hidden under the rocks, they view their surroundings with the help of their antennae and large eyes. Their beautiful dark blue, almost purple eyes will constantly be a part of our retinue as we visit the undersea world of Palagruza. This is one of the rare places where they can be found in the Adriatic. The Scilarides latus is an unusual crab in the size of a lobster. It has a broad fan, shaped like a tail growing on its head. This is useful protection for Scilarides latus, making it difficult to discern head from tail and the direction in which it will make its escape. This is a Scilarus arctus, named because it is similar to and a smaller relative of Scilarides latus. We are given a send-off by these violet sea urchins as we continue to wander through the waters and across the shores of the island of Palagruza. We surface again at Diomedes' footprint. The legend only confirms what was discovered during the building of the lighthouse on Palagruza. It was an important island for all who sailed the seas, even as far back as prehistoric times. There are both Greek and Roman finds, ceramics, villas, mosaics, marble. During the Middle Ages, wheat was sown on the plateaus and terraces of Salamandria. In the 16th century, Palagruza belonged to Hvar, and the fishermen of Komija and Hvar came here with their fishing boats, gaietas, and falcuchas to escape from pirates. In 1177, Pope Alexander III stopped off here and dined well in friendly company on his way to Komija. Most probably fish was served. There was no church on Palagruza at the time. The first church was built in the 18th century by the people of Komija. Unfortunately, it was destroyed in the First World War. According to legend, a tower once stood where the lighthouse stands today. It was called Kostiol and was destroyed by the Venetians in the 17th century. The view is breathtaking. Due to its stormy geological past, Palagruza has a multitude of caves, massive rocky blocks in the blue depths of its waters. As we enter one of the caves, we encounter a familiar sight, spiny lobsters. There are snake-locks anemones on the sandy bottom of the cave. The leopard-spotted goby is a very rare denizen of the deep. It wanders around the caves, which are also a safe haven for schools of swallowtail sea perch. The currents have helped turn the cave walls and vaults into a colorful tapestry of life. Sponges, mosses, coral, algae. Neptune's luxurious empire. They all depend on the light that shines through the cave's openings and on the food brought by the current and waves. Algae are at the bottom of the food chain. And this is a strong chain consisting of sponges, starfish, and sea cucumbers that filter food from the seabed, all under the watchful eye of the Mediterranean moray. The Hermeticae carunculata is a scavenger, and its beautiful cousin, the sabella, or spirographe, is a stationary hunter of plankton. The gaper can be seen frequently. This is the stealthy cuckoo wrasse, and the red starfish, which looks as though it is sunbathing. This small pen shell does not yet have a smooth shell and is growing on a rocky part of the seabed. Further on, we see a mature pen shell covered in algae, sponges, and stingers. The pen shell needs to find a place where the sea currents will bring food to its doorstep. The jellyfish fights against the currents by methodically expulsing water from its bell. It has a group of much more agile swimmers close by, little horse mackerel. They usually like following floating objects at this stage of their development, and this group has chosen this jellyfish for the purpose. They have to be very deft swimmers to avoid its stinging threads. It is fascinating just how rich the flora and fauna are on this small island, which is only 1,330 meters long and 270 meters wide. On its southernmost point, where the fissure is clearly visible and the chasm gapes, the passage is only 15 centimeters wide and is called Priko Tankega. Palagruza is a beautiful solitary place. There are many habitats for plants and animals. Over 220 plants and 120 animal species have been discovered here. Some are endemic. The Ginsberg lichen is especially beautiful in spring, as is the Matiola incana, which covers the rocky hillocks of the island. Other plants include spurge and purple mallow. A variety of plant life in pink and golden hues, and the fascinating flower of the caper, which grows in between the rocks. This little snail, Eobania vermiculata pelagosana, is endemic. This harmless lizard is a subspecies of the Italian wall lizard. Seagulls nest on the crags and rocks. When the young hatch, they are clumsy, but are always under the watchful eye of their loud parents. There are grebes and kaukala, denizens of the open seas. Their cries can be heard at night from their well-protected nests in the deep rocky crevices. Legend has it that they are the friends of the lost hero Diomedes, whom Zeus turned into a bird. The undersea world hoards many secrets, maybe even the remains of Diomedes. We dive into the gloaming at Vela Vloka. The strong southerly winds and waves can be felt far down in the undersea world. Even plants and animals living on the seabed are swayed rhythmically to and fro. This hermit crab and swallowtail sea perch are waiting for the sea to calm down. In an attempt to hide, this cuckoo wrasse has led us to an electric ray. This electric ray is related to sharks and rays. It has no dangerous jaws or poisonous spines. Instead, it has special electric organs on its body, which it uses to paralyze its prey. The Leptopsamia, a type of coral, catches its prey in the fields of lettuce-shaped green algae. Its next-door neighbor is a Mediterranean moray, half hidden but still visible. We are surrounded by antenna shrimp, named after their large antennae. This shrimp looks as if it is attacking the moray. In actual fact, it is giving it a regular checkup, cleaning away dead skin, old food, and parasites. The lighthouse is the focal point on the island of Palagruza. It was built by the Austrian Empire, like all the other 67 lighthouses on the Adriatic. There is also a weather station. The first 2 rows of building stone were quarried on Palagruza. The rest came from Brač. The building itself is 23 meters high. At the top, there is a tower 109.70 meters high that watches over the sea. It was first used in 1876 and still functions today. Only today, a generator powers it. A French engineer in Paris designed the crystal lenses. The light can be seen at a distance of 25 miles. Both the building and the instrument are a good example of industrial design. In the past, 4 lighthouse keepers and their families lived here. Today, there are 2 lighthouse keepers. Drinking water comes from a storage tank. Bread is baked in the old way, and fish is grilled. The sound of wind, waves, and the cries of seagulls mark the lighthouse keepers' days and nights. Nightlife in the dark depths of the sea never ceases. In fact, the hunting and games are just about to begin. At night, mysterious creatures lurk in the undersea world of Palagruza. This dancing creature is a polychaeta worm. It leaves trails of iridescent turquoise threads behind it. These are produced as part of this little dancer's amorous mating ritual. Caught in our camera lights, the Balearic conger seems surprised. It likes to wander around at night. Many creatures have come out to hunt. This young conger probably won't wander too far from the security of the seabed, as it is always best to run away from the unknown. This octopus employs a different strategy when it senses danger. It camouflages itself and remains motionless on the bottom, seeking to impress all who dare approach. If this is not enough, it will saunter off on its 8 legs and then propel itself away by expelling water from its sac. The striped mullet uses its barbels to search the sandy bottom for shrimp. They in turn seek safety by digging in. Nighttime is a battle of life and death. This stinger, the Halcompoidus purpurea, was only recently discovered in the Adriatic. It is out to catch its dinner. It applies the same principle as any other stinger. It has microscopic poisonous hooks on its tentacles. When its prey touches a tentacle, the poisonous hook is released into the prey. All that remains is to suck the stunned prey into its mouth, the opening in the middle of its tentacles. This prey was lucky. Although still stunned by the poison, it managed to escape. The anemone is a larger relative, and its size and strength does not give much leeway for escape. Both the hunter and the hunted need a good measure of luck and a versatility of skills. Some of them are true masters in the art of hunting. This is tonight's king of hunting. He enjoys a rich and varied menu, and thanks to his numerous tentacles, he is able to hunt and eat his fill at the same time. This spiny lobster has left the safety of its home tonight, but it is still reluctant to turn its back and tail on strangers. Its tail is a delicacy for any octopus. This small red scorpionfish stops in the middle of gulping down a shrimp. And this scorpionfish has decided to pose for our camera. As they take a stroll along the bottom at night, all these creatures have one thing in mind: to find food without being served up on someone else's menu. This type of shrimp, the Leander shrimp, uses its pincers to pick through the overgrown rocks while keeping an eye on us. This antenna shrimp is skilled in avoiding falling stones. A damselfish, a striped mullet, and a common two-banded sea bream have taken a short break in the game of hunter and prey. This stinger need not be afraid of going hungry. Swaying in the current, its tentacles collect food. And this is new life in the undersea world of Palagruza, pods of squid eggs. They will develop into a new generation of hunters, but also prey. We go back to the mystic undersea world at night. To end it all, we watch a new dancer on the dance floor, the comb jellyfish. This creature even has its own light show. There is a group of islets next to Vela Palagruza. Mala Palagruza is one of them. Kamik ol Tarmuntone and Olostra are a further two rocky islets. For centuries, fishermen have fished here for silver schools of sardine. Even today, the undersea world is a magical place, thriving with life. The secret steep caves are a hiding place for a school of red fish, the beautiful Adriatic species of marine goldfish. Resting on the rocks is an interesting species of starfish. It is flat and has no tentacles. Dive into another of these caves and encounter a crab with an interesting name, the warty crab. Close by is a small sea spider with a shock of algae for hair. It plants these algae on purpose, not to look beautiful, but for the sake of camouflage. Through a cloud of plankton, we see the largest specimen among the species of small crabs, the lobster. It is rarely found in the southern part of the Adriatic. Self-confidently, it decides to measure itself against us. It returns majestically to the safety of its shelter. On leaving the cave, we run into an old friend, Amore, as it keeps watch in a vast audience of spiny lobsters. Amore gapes in surprise, and this spiny lobster has been caught in the open. So it lifts its head and curls its tail, hoping to look bigger. These scorpion fish remain motionless on the bottom in an attempt to stay cool, calm, and collected. They rely on camouflage, and their stripes and bumpy outgrowths are an extremely good imitation of the seabed where they live. After some initial confusion, this small black-tailed sea bream runs for cover as the antenna shrimp watches on. An octopus has camouflaged itself on the bottom. The only giveaway is a wary eye seeking to find the best means of escape. The Mediterranean monk seal once lived in the well-sheltered caves of Mala Palagruza. At these depths, there was plenty of fish and the young seals could go hunting for fish with their mothers. The rocks had the odd flat or two for sunbathing. These rocks still remember the name of these charming creatures, Monachus monachus. Today, all that remains are memories. As we say farewell to the wondrous undersea world, the rocks, and the sun of Palagruza, the furthest of all Croatia's islands, deep inside we know that the survival of Croatia and its sea depends on the captivating beauty and variety of life of its islands. The islands of Lastovo, Palagruza, and Vis are nautically the most important islands on Croatia's coast. Lastovo is one of the greener islands and is covered in forests. Some linguists believe its name comes from the Illyrian, meaning a place for resting, solitude, and holiday making. It has a temperate climate, lush vegetation, and a large variety of animal life. Since prehistoric times, it has had various names: Ladesta, Ladeston, Ladestris. But Lastovo seems to have stuck, and this is what it is called today. We discover the rich diversity of Lastovo's undersea world. These sponge colonies are living proof of just how clean the sea is. and those lost anchor ropes and nets soon become a habitat for new life.
This new life will become green algae.
Life flourishes everywhere. There are spiny lobsters in this cleft, red algae further up, and sponges and gorgonian on the steep, rocky face. A scorpionfish enjoys the peace and quiet of its rooms. As we make our way down the rocky face, we encounter a field of Perozoanthus axinelle stingers. Although they look like flowers, they are in fact living creatures. This white feathery bush is algae.
We also come across an anemone with transparent tentacles.
In the shallows, among the Posidonia seagrass, there are schools of various types of rainbow wrasse. These rainbow wrasse are mostly females. Their feast is constantly interrupted by another colorful type of rainbow wrasse. The male rainbow wrasse, with a red stripe along its side, is here to make sure that the feast runs smoothly. Although monotonous, the fields of Posidonia seagrass are teeming with life. From this little snail hunting on the seabed, to this lima shellfish, a true seafarer among shellfish. The archipelago of Lastovo stretches from the islet of Glavat in the east to the islet of Sushats in the west. There are two groups of islands in the east, Vrhovnyaci, or Gornji Shkoyi, and Donji Shkoyi. Glavat is an islet with a lighthouse. In the west, as we pass through the shallows between the islands of Lastovo and Prezhba, we come across the romantic island of Makarac, where hermits once lived. And then on to Bratina, Vlašnik, and Mrčara. The archipelago consists of 46 islands and islets. Our journey starts among the white, craggy islets that shine in the sun, at Bielac. The undersea world here is breathtaking. Bielac, a pearl that has been cleft in two. We go down into the beautiful depths of this underwater rift that extends through the middle of the island. It is like being in an ornate cathedral. Starfish and corals hang from the celestial ceiling. A multitude of gorgonian on the steep craggy rocks look like candelabra. We see a starfish. school of marine goldfish hides in the adjoining rooms of this cathedral. They are probably the most beautiful fish in the Adriatic. This is a male. It has long fins and a flag on its dorsal fin. Due to the strong currents here, the steep crags are teeming with life. A pearl oyster has anchored itself to the Gorgonian. We enter one of the most beautiful Gorgonian forests in the Adriatic. Gorgonian is neither flower nor plant. It is a colonial habitat of living creatures. When feeding, the Gorgonian puts out feelers, making it look like a tree in bloom. On closer inspection, we notice a turban shell, but also a moray getting ready for a night of hunting. It warns the diver that this hole is taken by flashing its teeth. Further on, we spot a yellow triple fin. The shallows around Bielec are a treasure trove of unusual shapes, sea urchins, and date shells. Left alone, in peace and quiet, they have almost outgrown the rock in which they grew, making them easy prey for the murex. Sea urchins and starfish will also try to sample their tasty meat. Rocks and boulders lie strewn all over the seabed. They look like discarded bones or mythical monsters made of stone. This is all that's left of the island's volcanic past. When Seraf Raci published his first printed history of Dubrovnik, Lastovo had already been under the rule of the Republic of Dubrovnik for 3 centuries.
In his descriptions, he stated that there was only one town among the hills, the shining town of Lastovo.
The center of Lastovo has always been the church of Saint Kuzma and Damian. It houses valuable artifacts, one of which is a vessel for holy water given to the town by Dobre Dobricevic. The picture above the main altar is by the Renaissance painter Lanfranco. The square and loggia in front of the church is where the people of Lastovo met and decided on important issues. One of the issues was whether or not to become part of the Republic of Dubrovnik, under the condition that Lastovo kept all its rights. The rector of Dubrovnik lived in this palace. Only the section with the figure of Saint Vlach belongs to the original building.
The statute was drawn up here in the square and loggia, according to which it was forbidden to sell land to foreigners, and all misdemeanors were punished by being shamed in public.
The architecture is original. Strangely shaped chimneys, Renaissance ornaments, a multitude of flora. An abandoned fort stands on top of the hill overlooking Lučica. the harbor from which the people of Lastovo set out to hunt and discover the world. This is a quiet corner with clear waters, radiating in tranquility and solitude. Our next dive takes us to the mysterious waters of Seka Drašan. A cargo ship sank here in ancient times, spilling its goods all over the seabed. Some of the amphora have survived, among them vessels for storing oil, wine, and fragrances. Today, they are covered in sea flora and have become habitats for a variety of sea creatures. This snail, peeking out of the sand like an amphora, is one of the largest snails in the Adriatic. This large barrel-shaped snail can grow to be 30 centimeters, and it eats other snails. Another guest from the deep is this deep-sea sea urchin. Life has won over death around the remains of the shipwreck. The bare ribs of this ancient wreck are soon covered in algae, sponges, mosses, and stingers, an attractive hiding place for fish. On a rock nearby, a female cuckoo wrasse and a swallowtail sea perch live side by side in harmony. This small sea slug makes its way across the fields of green algae in search of food. A moray is quite clear about the message it sends. We are being rude. As we leave, the algae seems to be waving to us, and the sun lures us to the surface. There are over 40 churches on Lastovo, and the oldest is in Ubli. There was once an old Christian basilica and a villa rustica here. The most beautiful church on Lastovo is Our Lady of the Fields. Inside there is a painting of Dobre Dobričević, the donator of the church. The people of Lastovo built the church on almost every elevation. We make our way uphill to the most famous old Croatian church on Lastovo, St. Luke's. On our way, we pass through a lush green landscape of myrtle, laurel, cypress trees, and strawberry trees. Once upon a time, goats and sheep grazed on these plateaus. St. Luke's stands before us. Its walls shimmer because of the sand used to build them. It evokes the ancient past. Down below, in the 46 fertile fields, the land has been blessed with various products: vines, olive trees, vegetables, and fruit. There are also reservoirs of water, invaluable pools where water is stored all year round. Close by, there are white mulberry trees. The women of Lastovo once used the leaves to cultivate silkworms. The silk was used for embroidery. quiet hidden cove of Sveti Jurje lies in the west. A church once stood here. When the sun sets behind the dark contours of the West Islands, it is time to go back to the sea. On the seabed, the night is troubled and dangerous. This sea slug, making its way to the bottom, looks like a space traveler. Nighttime is a time for hunting and being hunted. This sea bream poses no threat. Even this coral has put out its feelers in the hope of catching something. It seems we have arrived too early. This grouper is still half asleep and is not ready to pose for our cameras yet, so we go back for another look at this snail peeking out of its shell. An unusual shape draws our attention as it starts to rise from the sand. A cuttlefish, master of camouflage. It senses we have seen it and decides to threaten us by raising two of its tentacles. Since we have no intention of leaving, it moves on. It is perfectly camouflaged, and the coloring, pattern, and texture of its skin imitate the seabed perfectly. For some, like this gaper, human waste can sometimes serve as a safe haven. The hermit crab, on the other hand, prefers to carry its home around on its back. This rare species of octopus is preparing for a night out. Like the cuttlefish, it is a master of disguise. The sand offers hunters a variety of options. They can choose to dig in and wait, like this lizardfish, or they can use their barbells to search the sand for food, like this mullet. Either way, this shrimp is a juicy morsel, and to avoid being eaten, it needs to find somewhere to hide and fast.
To be on the safe side, this hermit crab has protected itself with about a dozen sociable sea anemones.
When you have such a group of dangerous friends to back you, you can eat in peace. Another tactic would be to befriend a single sea anemone. Left without protection, the only thing you can do is to blanch with fear, like this musk octopus. At night, snails peek out of their shells and oysters open up to filter seawater. Sometimes you can encounter strange creatures, like this ribbon worm. Having failed in its attempts to hide, this octopus opts to switch to jet propulsion. Its head and tentacles turn into wings. These sea slugs are free to roam the seabed. They're not exactly easy prey to catch or digest, as they are usually poisonous. When startled, even they swim off, although clumsily. Today, the south side of the island of Lastovo is rocky and bare. The coastline is steep and inaccessible. There are numerous interesting caves here, created through the ages by geological changes and the power of the waves. The Mejadina cave is the most significant and mysterious. As there is no direct sunlight, its walls are bare and there's little life here. This cave is the result of the karst phenomenon and the forming forces of the currents. Surfacing in one of its rooms, we admire the dome-like ceiling. This cave used to be home to the Mediterranean monk seal. The cave is virtually bare with almost no life. Here and there, it is dark blue, pink, or golden, but silent. This is a fascinating cave, consisting of 3 rooms with magical lighting. Light seeps in through the holes in the rocks and reflects off the interior, lending a silvery shine to everything. We are left mesmerized by Mejadina, its strange beauty hidden in the shallows of the island. A burst of colorful plant life thrives around the cave's entrances. The cave also has an entrance from land. Although the entrance is caved in, bats have discovered it and have chosen the second room with seawater for their habitat. This proves that man has not visited this quiet environment for quite some time. Maybe we are the first to shatter this peace. This is like one of the undersea kingdoms of Ivana Brlić Mažuranić's fairy tales, or it might even be one of Poseidon's sanctuaries. travel on, along the south side of Lastovo, in order to visit the best sheltered harbor, Skrivena Luka or Portorus. It is a large and calm mooring place, protected by headlands, an ideal shelter for boats and ships seeking to escape the raging sea. The east headland, Cape Skrizheva, protects the harbor with its steep, rocky shore on which the Struga lighthouse stands. It is one of the oldest lighthouses on the Adriatic and was built in 1839. The amazing steep, rocky drop, as if severed by some giant hand, invites us to leap in and dive down into its great depths. In these depths, we meet new creatures. Like this interesting species of tube worm. But we also meet our old friends again, like the moray. The undersea world at the lighthouse is decorated in Gorgonian, around which a school of marine goldfish gathers. And finally, the king of the Croatian Sea, the rare red coral. You have to go down 70 to 80 meters in order to see this sight. This dark red branch is full of white feelers. The polyps develop buds, which then produce new life. The coral was once a favorite decoration around the necks of women, and once, long ago, it was the tribute the people of Lastovo paid to the Republic of Dubrovnik. It is time to leave the island of Lastovo, a tranquil isle, rich in natural beauty. We are left with memories and unforgettable visions of a harmonious mix of blue and green in the secret depths which we visited. The trip across the Fajan Canal is a short crossing from the gentle Istrian mainland to an exotic archipelago, a group of islands which are well known almost all over the world. Brijuni. We reach the shore on Veli Brijun and start our journey by land and then in the water off these islands. Waters which radiate harmony and luxury, as well as tranquility and calm. Brijuni are a group of 14 islands, almost 740 hectares in size. The largest islands are Veli and Mali Brijun. The islands have a mild Mediterranean climate with lots of sunshine, a good level of humidity, and lush vegetation. The verdant forests and parks are relieved by open grassland, a grazing ground for deer, mouflons, zebras, and gentle roes, while turtles swim in the little lakes. The greatest attraction can be seen at Cape Ploče and on the Barban Peninsula. The footprints of the iguanodon, a dinosaur that lived during the Mesozoic era, 150 million years ago. These dinosaurs left their footprints at a time when these islands did not yet exist. They separated from the mainland only about 10,000 years ago. During this time, numerous species developed and thrived in the sea. In contrast to the south, the north part of the Adriatic is shallow, covered in sand and silty sediment, which the currents swirl to and fro along with a multitude of plankton. The sea here is rich in microorganisms, as is evident from the numerous sponge colonies. The sponge is an organism that very few will eat. The Discodorus atromaculata, a type of small sea slug, barely a couple of centimeters in size, is an exception. A scorpion fish lies motionless on the seabed. Remaining motionless is a good means of defense and good camouflage. The scorpion fish has poisonous spines on its dorsal fin and gill covers. This poison, however, can be neutralized at high temperatures, so there is no imminent danger. We are looking for an increasingly rare fish, the black umber. Our search continues inside this cave, a place where this fish usually hides, and encounter a brown wrasse, yet another rare type of fish. This little crab's right pincers are missing. Most likely it lost them in a battle. It shares its habitat with the triple fin.
These common two-banded sea breams lead us deeper into the cave.
Finally, we encounter black umbers, beautiful but very shy fish with a characteristic shape to their bodies, and charming fins with white edging. The remains of human settlements dating back to ancient times can be found on almost all the islands. The rise of Briuni, culturally and architecturally, occurred with the arrival of the Romans in the 2nd century BC. They called Briuni Pularie, and it was a resort for the wealthy citizens of Pula. Without a doubt, the most beautiful Roman site is the patrician villa in the Verige Cove.
A true gem, an excellent example of beautifully executed Villa Rustica architecture, built from white stone from Briuni.
The ground plan extends over more than a kilometer along the coast in the Verige Bay, with a green belt of woods and meadows behind it. There were 3 temples in the center of the complex on the top of the hill. The villa itself is built over 3 terraces that slope down to the sea. The complex consisted of outhouses, water basins, fish ponds, wool mills, and a series of other buildings. The symbol of the Mediterranean is the olive tree, like this one here. This tree remembers Roman patricians in their togas, because it is 1,600 years old. Blocks of stone once reinforced the coastline.
They have sunk under the waters and are now 1 meter below sea level.
It is difficult to imagine just how rich the sea was in those ancient times. This little seahorse is off to visit undersea provinces. It is a fish that swims with the aid of a small transparent dorsal fin. While its tail is used for other purposes, spiral in shape, it serves as a good anchor on seagrass. Its flamboyant headdress is not just a pretty accessory, it serves as a perfect camouflage as well. In contrast to the size of its body, the seahorse has a small toothless mouth, which it uses to suck in algae and small plankton. The male of this species bears young. After the eggs have been fertilized, the female lays them within a special sac on the abdominal part of the male. He looks after them until they have developed fully. There are more Roman remains in the waters along the coast. Amphorae, ceramics, all covered with living creatures. Some striped mullets watch us from the safety of a stone block. They view us from a distance, but do not approach. We go deeper. Suddenly, a school of black umbers appears. They are rarely seen in the open because they're a shy fish that prefer the security of a cave. Each civilization brought new species of flora and fauna with it.
The endemic evergreen holm oak woods now grow side by side with cedars, firs, cypresses, sequoias, eucalyptuses, bamboo, pyramid-shaped yews, Spanish and Greek firs.
The owners of select Villa Rusticae also planted hedges with a variety of flowers. Through the centuries, this rich diversity and multitude of species increased, as did the numbers and variety of animals brought here for diversion. The Romans were first to introduce new species, but new fauna was systematically introduced from 1900 onwards. Animals were shipped to Veli Briun and Vanga from all over the world: deer, mouflons, as well as a large variety of other animals that live in the wild. Only some are penned in. Polyclinidae are a frequent sight on the rocky edges of sandy flats. They are creatures similar to sponges. Corals also favor places like these. This is the only type of coral on the Adriatic that builds reefs. These painted combers are like telltales. They point out a brown wrasse hiding in one of the clefts. Where the steep, craggy rocks meet the sandy bottom is a place full of surprises. This electric ray is well adapted to life on the sandy bottom. Rather unsuccessfully, it tries to escape into a cleft and dig in, but then returns to an environment to which it is more accustomed. Electricity is the electric ray's secret weapon, which it uses as a means of defense, but also as a form of attack when hunting. Even the ancient Romans were aware of this and kept them in pools to be used as a cure for arthritis.
This brown anemone is green in color, which is not really surprising as it leads a symbiotic life with green algae. The algae give the anemone oxygen, and in return the anemone protects them and lets them feed on its leftovers. Only the tips of the anemone's tentacles are purple, a sign that they are the most poisonous part of the anemone.
Each rock and pebble is an oasis of life. Sometimes the smallest creatures are also the most beautiful, like this sea slug. The Flabellina affinis sea slug is 5 centimeters in length and has unusual growths. Although very conspicuous, it is not easy prey. It feeds on stingers, and the intact stinging cells then travel through its body to what look like fringes where the poison is stored, ready for use. We watch a couple of abalone out for a stroll. And these are the eggs of another mollusk, the murex. We have frightened this Noah's Ark shellfish draped in a spongy cape. A triple fin comes racing out of its cave and protests strongly by raising its dorsal fin. One meter from shore, and under the watchful eye of their elders, a group of young damselfish wish us farewell. After the fall of the Roman Empire, Byzantium ruled these regions. In the Dobrica Cove, the remains of Byzantine architecture are part of this heritage. We find ourselves inside the large castrum, or fort, enclosed by defense walls and among the remains of housing architecture. There are a number of gates to this well-fortified castrum. Today, it is surrounded by gentle Mediterranean flora. The ruins of an old Christian three-nave basilica from the 6th century can be found in the Gospa Cove next to the fort. The column capitals are decorated in crosses within a round framework. The Benedictines built the basilica and a monastery, and remained here until the terrible plague in 1312. During the period of the Franks, more and more Croats settled here. Salt began to be produced in larger quantities, and stone was quarried and worked more intensively. On the seabed, this rock is covered in flora and has new inhabitants. The uniform sandy bottom is a collection of unusual adaptations and shapes.
Various forms of algae flourish in places bathed by the sun, like these single-celled acetabularia. to wait for signs of life on the sandy bottom. This anemone comes in different colors.
Yellow, red, and like this one, purple. It has stinging tentacles and does not need the sand as protection. This creature is sneaking along the bottom. It is a type of worm with numerous small bristles as a defense system. We would not see many species on this sandy bottom if they did not let us see them. When a sole stops on the bottom, it digs in partly, and only its eyes remain visible. It uses them to scan its surroundings in all directions. It quietly waits for smaller fish to come closer. After a quick bite to eat, it goes back to calmly waiting for its next opportunity. The sole looks very much like any other fish when young. As it grows, one side becomes the bottom side, the other the top, and both eyes grow next to each other. By remaining completely immobile, the black scorpion fish attempts to become part of its surroundings. Its colorings and outgrowths resemble a rock. Whereas the black scorpion fish has inherited its protection system from its parents, these sea urchins have to use their spines to constantly adapt their camouflage. If you do not have camouflage, then speed works just as well, something the common two-handed sea bream and cuttlefish have discovered. But digging in is still the safest method. The shellfish does it, and so does this crab. On the islet of Obliak, there is an old lighthouse that probably dates back to the 14th century. A fire used to be lit at the top. Today, it is a resting place for seagulls. This complex around Donjon and Castel is testimony to Venetian rule. The Venetians ruled these regions for 466 years. It was a time of war, rises and falls, a time of malaria and the plague. The votive church of Saint Roch was built at this time, close to the tower and fort, as protection against the plague. In the 19th century, Austria ruled these islands. Impressive fortresses were built. Pula served as the main naval harbor. 4 forts were built on Veli Briun and 3 on Mali Briun, which served to protect Pula. This was one of them. It is nighttime in the undersea world of Briuni. As we dive, a shiny reflection leads us down to the bottom and we catch a sea bream unawares. Even this orange starfish has noticed an unusual light and makes its way towards us. It uses the numerous tiny spines on the bottom of its arms to look for prey. After a colony of corals, we come across a snake blenny. It uses the barbels on its mouth to search the bottom as it moves to and fro. It lies under the sand during the day and hunts at night, but always digs in quickly when necessary. In the sand, we run into the king among fish, the dentex. We follow a young conger as it searches for food. But it hides quickly under some rocks. Some places are already taken and have some rather dangerous lodgers. This lobster has done its hunting for the night and is now feasting on its catch. As we investigate the numerous holes under the rocks, we catch sight of the queen of fish in our floodlights, the gilthead. She seems confused. This warty crab always wears a sponge or a polyclinidae on its back for protection and uses its hind legs to keep them in place. Returning from the blue depths, we accidentally come across a forkbeard. Like the blenny, it uses the growth on its lower lip to look for food. As we start to leave, our lights flood a small sea spider. It is caught up in some rope on the bottom. People really should take care about where they throw away their waste. The 20th century marked the beginning of Briuni's development as a tourist destination. It really began in 1893 when the Austrian industrialist Paul Kupelwieser bought the islands. He turned the islands into a fashionable tourist resort for high society. In 1912 and 1913, at the outbreak of the First World War, its luster faded, never to return. Briuni became a national park in 1983. The sea is deepest around the island of Jeronim. It is here that we will say farewell to the gentle and unique islands of Briuni, to the harmonious balance of briny sea, lush vegetation, and ancient history. We come across a black scorpion fish, a spiny lobster, and a crab all in one hole, like some kind of delegation. We interrupt this spiny lobster's stroll across the seabed, and it greets us with its antenna. This lobster is not very polite. It flashes its powerful pincers and lunges at us. We go to visit a conger, and it surprises us all as it sends us a photogenic kiss in parting. It would seem that all the creatures in this undersea world have decided to get together and wish us farewell. Only this peacock wrasse seems confused by our departure, while the common two-banded sea breams will mention us in their prayers. And finally, what seems to be a tear in the eye of a white bream turns out to be the reflection of our camera light. The white bream knows that we will meet again to marvel at the beauty and the wonders of the undersea world of Croatia. The Kornati National Park was founded in 1980. Although it is one of the youngest national parks, it is quite possibly the most fascinating and most pleasant from an artistic point of view. With a blue sea and skies, and warm ancient stones covered with a tinge of green. The Kornati archipelago extends between Dugi Otok in the northwest and as far as Žirje in the southeast, and it consists of more than 100 islands, islets, and rocky crags. "93 of them belong to the Kornati National Park, which is 320 square kilometers in size and named after the largest of the islands. The islands are exceptionally beautiful. There is something almost mythical in the copper-hued barrenness of Kornat, which is cut up by dry walls snaking up and down the hillside like some sort of serpent. This is a silent realm, overgrown in grass. In summer, the grass becomes golden in the scorching sun. The islands and sea then wait for clouds to arrive in September. We fight against the strong sea currents that make life possible here. They bring plankton to many creatures like sponges, stingers, and polyclinidae. They build their colonies in spite of the currents. These sponges also attract other forms of life. These little spotted slugs feed off sponges. The pale Aplidum conicum and this blood-red species of polyclinidae live together in harmony. Next to them is a Haliclona mediterranea sponge, a frequent inhabitant of coral reefs. The reefs are a forest of beautiful gorgonian, red and yellow branches. They too have their own inhabitants who hide within the numerous clefts. Others use gorgonian as a place to lay their eggs. like the dogfish or the squid. Our old acquaintance, the scorpionfish. Many fish swim around playfully under the arching branches of this lemon-yellow stinger. Auxiliary cuckoo and peacock wrasses, and black-tailed sea bream. We surface along a sandy flat and encounter a rare type of sea slug, the Plurobranchus testudinarius. It looks like a round heap of jelly-like balls with what looks like the remains of a house, a small flat disc hidden at the rear of its body. The front side of the body is easy to discern because of these little horn-like appendages, which it uses to investigate its surroundings and us. A female rainbow wrasse is feeding by the rocky shore. She seems to be having a banquet. She suddenly rises as if calling to her school. We leave them to feed in peace. There are hundreds of species of plant and animal life on these islands. We came across these donkeys under an olive tree by a watering hole in Vruje, the largest town on the Kornati Islands. In this rocky landscape, every now and again we come across a little sage bush, wedged in among the rocks, and a flock of grazing sheep making their way uphill to Stražice. They pass, making their way towards the olive groves and the dry gully leading to Vrulja. In Vrulja in September you can still see a bush or two in bloom, and butterflies. You can also see the smallest house, a mere 2 meters in width. The cold north winds can be felt westwards towards the island of Bisag, across Levernak, and all the way to Shilo. Although invisible to the naked eye, there are caves on these islands. The Anhihalina caves, where fresh and salty water mix. We encounter a team of scientists that has explored 12 caves and has gone down as far as 30 meters. They have discovered a completely different form of life, little Nipharguses. They have found 3 types, one of which is being discovered for the first time. The undersea world also has surprises in store. This tube worm has set up house next to an amphora that looks as if it has been intentionally planted in the sand. This snail lives in a tube-like house with a beautiful orange door. It has a well-kept front garden with sponges, starfish, and stingers, which live on sponges, turning them into blossoming yellow trees. The rocky crag is home to colonies of lace-like mosses. We swim up along the Gorgonian-covered crag. This young pen shell has attached itself to the rock, although this is not its natural environment. At the edge of the forest of Gorgonian, where the sun's rays reach down into the water, the rock is covered in algae. In the hidden recesses, a yellow triple fin is wooing an orange female. A starfish lazes in the sun. This sea urchin is cleaning its spines. In between its spines, it has pedicularia, flexible little feet it uses to clean its shell, collect food, and which it often uses to attach itself to surfaces. A sea urchin has strong teeth which it uses to pluck algae off the rocks. A painted comber attracts our attention because it is almost always to be found close to an octopus, and here it is, under the rock. Startled, the octopus decides on flight, but stops to evaluate the situation first, and probably to curse the telltale painted comber. Following the octopus, we end up in the shallows next to a ball of Codium bursa algae. The sun lures us up to the surface. We pass by the stone walls that took many days of hard work to build and enter the fertile field of Trtusha. This was once a field of vineyards, orchards, and olive groves. Once the inhabitants of the islands of Murter and Dugiotok owned them. Today, all that remains are olive trees. There does not seem to be any water. But at the next field, Tarac, there is a pool with sedge growing by the water's edge. There is a church, Our Lady of Tarac, at the edge of the field. This new and simple church, with a semicircular apse and a bell tower powered by a distaff, has been built within the remains of an old Christian basilica. In the Middle Ages, the island of Cornat was called Insula Sancta Maria. The best view of the west half of the island can be had from the hill fort Turete. This Byzantine fort was built of solid rock and even today continues to challenge the power of the sun and the winds. It once had crenellated battlements, counterforts, and a doorway beneath a semicircular archway. Today it stands sentinel, attracting history lovers and those seeking solitude, and a view that reaches as far as Metline, the highest point on Cornat. The remains of an Illyrian hill fort lie on an adjacent elevation, and sailing boats and ships sail across the blue sea below. Even life on the sandy seabed seems to bear witness to the past of the little church and the forts on the island. A starfish with only 4 feet lies on the sandy bottom like a cross or like a castaway cape belonging to some medieval knight. We pass by an orange and red species of Polyclinidae and come across a stony meadow in bloom. These are small stingers called Leptopsamiae. This plain-looking shellfish is an excellent swimmer. Its escape is not randomly executed. The steep crags of the undersea world around Kornati seem to explode with color, form, and movement, unlike the quiet shores above the surface. In passing, we encounter a school of marine goldfish with a male companion who is showing off his long fins and dorsal spines. We swim after a sea slug with quite a large wingspan, on its way to a field of Posidonia. Seen from a distance, Posidonia looks like a well-kept lawn. Actually, it is thriving with life and witnesses entire life cycles, from birth to death. This is the pen shell's natural environment, and it will grow to its full size. A goby hides close to the roots of the Posidonia. These small fish gather in schools, while an auxiliary wrasse looks for a mate. This unusual creature is a Mediterranean feather star, an ancient relative of the starfish. The Padina pavonica algae grow in this rocky surface. In the shallows, this little fish has work to do. It is time to settle down and start a family. This is why he is building a nest out of algae. It has to be perfect because his mate is very choosy. The female will lay her eggs in the nest, whereas the male will care for their offspring. We leave him to finish off his work. Visit the island of Rashi in search of some of the most wondrous forms of precipitous rocks. This rock face seems to come straight out of a fairy tale, we see faces. One of them is the Sphinx. On Pishker, we visit a church dedicated to the Nativity of the Virgin Mary. And for centuries, it was the patron of fishermen who helped to build it with donations and hard work. The interior is simply furnished. This romantic gaieta, a fishing boat from the island of Murter, also brings back memories of the past. The remains of a Venetian fort from the 16th century stand on the stony crags on the island of Panitula. The highest precipitous rock face is on the island of Klobuchar. It rises to a height of 82 meters. These rock faces continue down into the sea. And it is here, on these sheer rocks, that we find the beauty for which the undersea world of Kornati is famous. A colony of mosses, which look like deer antlers and with a resounding name, Porella cervicornis, live on these red octocorals. Although these look like blossoming branches, this is not a plant, but a colony of animals hunting for plankton. They spread their feather-like feelers, and when something is caught, it is immediately eaten. Kornati have forests, only these forests are not above but below sea level. And they're not green, but red, and they're not flora, but fauna. The thin line that divides land from sea attracts opposites. And the forests on these rocky faces look their best when visited by a sea breeze. Then colonies bloom and blossom in fan-like shapes to resist the currents. Brightly colored sponges grow here, like some kind of strange fruit. This moray is like a forester. It peeps out of its hole, baring its teeth as it watches over this coral. Similar to red coral, this is Alcyonium coralloides, with feelers in shades of yellow and red. We move on and disappear behind a yellow tree in the sea. This tube worm, the Filograna, looks more like a flowery bush. It lives in groups and is half a centimeter in size. A jealous blotched pickerel wants some of the limelight. A shy forkbeard disappears into its hole. We surface slowly, leaving this beautiful world behind us. In the shallows, an orange triple fin guards its territory against cruising common two-banded sea bream, auxiliary wrasse, and sea spiders. When a calm, locally known as bonanza, envelops the Cornati Islands, the rocky headlands and crags shine white against the emerald and deep blue sea. The landscape is just as beautiful when the northerly or southerly winds blow across the surface of the sea. And while the wind blows above the surface, the dark depths of the undersea world at night are a garden of magical mystery. Nighttime is always a special time for surprise encounters. A school of squid has come to supervise our dive. After a routine check, they fire their jet propulsion systems and disappear into the dark depths. A rare species of stinger, Alicia mirabilis, is awake and rises from the protection of the sandy bottom, spreading its feelers in search of unsuspecting prey. Caught in the bright light of our reflectors, a gurnard remains frozen on the bottom. Before spreading its blue-fringed fins and walking off. Amore seems irritated by our lights, while curiosity gets the better of a conger until it realizes we have nothing that is edible. We encounter a dentex and this small crab, abalone. Who says snails are slow? This one is making good time. We move on towards a field of Posidonia teeming with life. This hermit crab has taken its gregarious friends, the sea anemones, out for the night. This lizard fish is making itself comfortable in the sand. We've attracted the attention of these gray mullets. They stop for a moment before moving on. On the edge of the field of Posidonia, we see a proud fish, one of the most easily recognizable fish of the Adriatic, a John Dory. Apart from its shape, it has two characteristic spots on its sides. Christian legend has it that St. Peter, who was a fisherman, pulled a John Dory out of the sea in order to feed the hungry. As a result, the John Dory has two black spots, one on either side. Since then, some also call this fish St. Peter or San Pierre, It has no fear, not even of us, and self-confidently spreads its spiny fins. Although it looks as if it is a slow fish, it is an excellent hunter of squid, shrimp, and smaller fish. It also has a secret weapon, a mouth that opens up telescopically and fast, which it uses to suck in and swallow its prey. We say farewell to Vruja and this cove. On the headland stands a small replica of a church, of which there are many on the Kornati Islands. Each is dedicated to a saint and was built as a vow and a sign of gratitude. As we leave the magical Kornati Islands, we leave a group of islands full of sharp contrasts. Copper-hued rocky islands entrapped by the sea, a sea in whose depths forests bloom and flourish. Mljet is the antique Melita and shaped like a bee. It is the 7th largest island in the Adriatic Sea off the coast of Croatia and is one of the South Dalmatian islands. Its ancient Greek name reveals the beauty and pleasure this island has to offer, almost like tasting honey. In fact, Mljet comes from the Latin term mel. And this island, the most forested of all Croatia's islands, really does smell of pine resin, essential oils, and of course, the sea. The stony surface of Mljet was formed many millions of years ago, which is also when the amazing rocks, caves, ridges, pits, and valleys were created. The secrets of the island of Mljet are yet to be discovered. We have only just begun to discover its legends and beauty. Our journey will take us down the 131 kilometers of coastline. We will dive into its blue depths to encounter the fantastic shapes of its underwater world and the inhabitants of these depths. The beauty of Mljet's underwater world attracts many divers. Many of them take their first steps on the seabed, just like this hermit crab taking its first steps on a diver. The steep, craggy coast is full of holes and caves. Many of them continue horizontally all the way up to the surface. This is where the Mediterranean monk seal found peace and quiet. As we surface, all we leave behind are bubbles trapped in the vaults of this little cave. Slowly we drop to greater depths and fall towards a sandy bottom. A strange dark shadow greets us. A large species of sea slug. It does not feel sociable and spreads its gills, which can span up to half a meter, and clumsily tries to swim away. Its goal is to reach the underwater crag and this school of marine goldfish. It's almost like being in an art gallery. We view the works of art nature has created around us. The umbraculum, an umbrella slug with its small disc. The purple starfish. One of the most amazing landscapes is a clearing covered in sponges, with Unicella singularis coral ranging the edges close to the sand. While a pen shell peacefully filters seawater, two small Cretena peregrina munch on Eudendrium stingers. In this afternoon ideal in the waters around Mljet, we follow a team of jellyfish as it makes its way to the surface. Due to the mild Mediterranean climate, the lush vegetation on this island is fascinating. From the pine tree to the evergreen holm oak forests, the multitude of plant life makes this island a special ecological community, which is not only beautiful, but also has healing properties. There are paths running all over the island, from the villages in the west to the farthest cape in the east, Cape Grui. Hundreds of plant and animal species live within this area.
We note two on our journey, a donkey on our path and a symbol of the Mediterranean, the cicada. In the words of the poet, the cicada churs and churs in its shiny suit of silky wings.
One of the most beautiful views of the forests of Mljet and its coast is from the top of Montucuț, 243 meters above sea level. Although it is not the highest point on the island of Mljet, it stands like an impressive belvedere at the top of Zle Stiene, the Evil Rocks. The numerous caves on Mljet are one of its interesting features. What might be the last habitat of the Mediterranean monk seal can be found at a site on the edge of the national park, in the large steep cove of Ropa. There is little likelihood that we will encounter this valuable and rare species with a resonant name, Monachus monachus. It was the symbol and mascot of the Mediterranean Games in Split under the name of Adriana. On Mljet, they called this seal Man of the Sea. They knew the caves it visited, where its young were born and where it hunted fish. This sandy cave is where the seal gave birth to its young, then fed and taught them. The Mediterranean monk seal only has young every 2 years. When the young were born, they would see the sun's rays playing on the blue surface of the sea. They would learn how to fish and how to survive. The seal's greatest enemy was man, and man finally exterminated them all. On these smooth rocks, seals would sunbathe and enjoy the company of their mates. The largest inhabited place on Mljet is Babinopolje. It is 4 kilometers in length and stretches over an area beneath the highest point on Mljet, Veliki Grad, 514 meters above sea level. Below lies a broad and fertile plain after which it is named. The gentle beauty of this place is augmented by the monuments preserved in Babinopolje. Some are pre-Romanesque and Romanesque. But there are also numerous churches in the town itself, 9 in fact, and a couple of chapels. The coat of arms of the famous Paluncic family stands on the portico of the parish church of St. Vlach. The Republic of Dubrovnik, which owned the island of Mljet, built a modest palace for the government representatives, the island rector from Dubrovnik, to stay in. The locals call it Palac, the palace. And it was built in 1554, as can be seen above the entrance. The natural beauty and fertility of the arable land at Babinopolje needs diligent hands to keep it thriving, to harvest the olives, to care for the Mediterranean shrubs and bushes and their fruits, tend to the flowers, walnut trees, fig trees, and pomegranates. According to Greek legends, Odysseus landed on the island of Mljet during his 10 years of wandering. Some even say that it is here, in this southern azure blue sea, that he fell in love with the nymph Calypso, whilst dreaming of Ithaca. The entrance to Odysseus's cave seems abandoned and looks like a deep well of steep rocks. We enter the cave by a route Odysseus could not have even imagined, and are met by a creature from Greek mythology, a Medusa, or the modern-day Cotylorhiza tuberculata. While this creature patrols the deep, the pen shell protects the seabed, along with the Herbstia condyliara crab. We enter through an opening almost 5 meters in width, and then dive down to the bottom of the cave, a further 50 meters in the direction of the cave's center. The cave's sandy bottom and the sun's rays magically paint the sea an azure blue. The naked sides of the cave are bluish-gray. They are barren and almost uninhabited, except for the odd tube worm or two, searching for food in the water's currents. We have surfaced inside a hidden shelter within Odysseus's cave, where fishermen sought safe haven in their fishing boats during storms. Much like this school of fish. Today, only the few lucky visitors who decide to dive into its blue depths experience the peace and beauty of this place. We continue on our journey southwards towards the mysterious rocks of the small island of Ogiran. In the quiet village of Prožura, hidden among the red rooftops, we espy the Church of the Holy Trinity. It houses the most beautiful work of art on Mljet, a Romanesque cross. The Church of Saint Martin and its portico, built in the 14th century, is situated above Prožura. Prožura was once the holiday resort of the nobility of Dubrovnik. Okuklje is a harbor on the northeast coast, a basin protected from the northerly winds by a headland, and was once heavily attacked by pirates, mostly Venetian, who also burnt down one of the churches in the 17th century. Maranovici, a village at the top of a hill, is a reminder of the terrible days of the plague in the 19th century. Those who survived came down from the hills to the coast. This landmark bears witness to their return, La Porta Nova di Maranovici, 1843. The village of Korita, hidden in this hillside, was one of the most secret of places. The tower in the middle of the village served as a shelter and means of defense from pirates. The nobility of Dubrovnik used to visit this place, and the Order of St. Clair once had a house there. And as a summer storm approaches the island of Mljet while it sleeps, we descend into its tranquil waters. The sandy, silty bottom is a paradise for many shellfish. Pen shells, oysters, sponges, scallops, all of them unafraid of opening their shells. We have caught a dentex taking a nap. And these are the teeth it was named after. It uses them to catch other fish and cephalopods. The grouper, a proud denizen of the sea. This jellyfish is unsuitable prey for such a hunter. The depths off the waters of Mljet is one of the few places in the Adriatic where you can find vast fields of pan shells. The Mediterranean feather star, a relative of the starfish, drifts down from the surface. It attaches itself to the seabed and uses its tentacles to catch prey. This shrimp is too big for the feather star. It is not even on its menu. Still, it digs in just in case. The many variety of fish found in these waters are a sign of the undisturbed beauty of Mljet. The silty seabed off Mljet is an ideal abode for the Pecten jacobius. The Sepiola likes to hide itself in this silt as well. He's very hard to see, not just because of his hiding spot, but because he only measures a couple of centimeters in length. The common Pandora does the job much more efficiently. The manner and speed of its quick escape leave us baffled and surprised. Was it running away from this large octopus? The octopus's departure is far more leisurely and dignified, and looks like choreography for 8 tentacles. It is full of scars like some kind of warrior. On the surface, the summer storm has blown over. Saplurana is probably the most beautiful sandy beach on the entire Adriatic coast. The whole area is a nature reserve for rare species. The abundance of plant life is fascinating. And the fine-grained sand is as soft as silk. The name given to the beach comes from the word sabulum, which means sand in Latin. Legend has it that the name was given by St. Paul, who was shipwrecked here in 61 AD. He stayed for 3 months and then continued on his sea voyage. From time immemorial, the people of Mljet have called the caves on the south side of the island Rikavica, the riblja, or fish, the vodena, or water, and the puhavica, or blower, contain the oldest rocks discovered on the island of Mljet to date, located in these caves. The entrance to the Rikavica caves lies hidden at a depth of 6 meters at Prkjenta. The interior is spectral and challenging, dark and sparsely inhabited. The bottom lies at a depth of 11 meters. The cave appears to be governed by Poseidon, the Greek god of the sea, and is windswept with waves from all directions, from the east, the south, and the northwest. The resulting swells create water jets in the cave, its corridors and siphons, and the booming, roaring clamor that is expelled at the surface is frightening and fires the imagination. By following a narrow submerged canal in a cave, we reach an air-filled room. The incoming tide presses the air through narrow openings on the dome-shaped vault of the ceiling. This is how these frightening noises are produced. This is yet another canal, and the wider it gets, the more air bubbles there are. We surface through an air pocket of bubbles. The strange noises and shapes stir the imagination, but also awaken fear. It is like being inside an enormous monster. The secrets of Rikavica, this untouched underwater cave, are revealed to us as our camera films it for the first time. Scientists believe that this land sank under the sea about 15,000 years ago when the sea level rose by 200 meters. This also accounts for the shapes in the cave. These stalactites and stalagmites could only have been formed by water dripping inside a cave on land. Their form and smoothness still seem to be resisting the flora and fauna of the sea. We are now able to reconstruct what the cave once looked like. The cave canal leads to a side entrance and is at a depth of 18 meters. At these depths, the eternally restless and dark sea pounds its way through the underwater passages, booming as the tide comes in and out. In its solitude, it gurgles and roars, awakening primordial fears. In spite of all this underwater world is an eternal challenge to mankind, even though it is only a small part of the unrelenting force of the world's oceans.
never reveals all its secrets. Vanyishkoy jealously keeps one of them. Like a tower on the open sea, it hides the Solina Channel and the entrance to the two eyes of Mljet, Veliko and Malo Jezero. After discovering the secrets of the deep, we are on our way to visit the two emerald lakes of Mljet. Even an indecisive moray might go hungry when confronted by this menu. Vanyishkoy is a captivating sight, and for a moment we forget about the lakes. And like Odysseus, we remain spellbound by the mesmerizing beauty of the vast number of steep, rocky faces. As well as the huge vertical cleft divided by massive stone blocks. This beautiful but dangerously bristly Hermataceae carunculata is out for a stroll. This black-tailed sea bream is taking a nap. We are surprised when we come upon a family of tropical wrasse. The female is brightly colored, while the male is gray, and they have an offspring. But these tropical wrasse live on coral reefs in warmer waters. Although they will add to the beauty of Mljet's undersea world, they are also a sign of the times, a new age of warmer weather and warmer seas, in which one generation will have to give way to new species and forget the old. This is why we are happy to see schools of our old friends, soap, rainbow wrasse, damselfish, and auxiliary wrasse. This antenna shrimp is strutting in its yellow garb.
The strong current makes surfacing difficult. The lakes of Mljet consist of three parts: the Solina Channel and Veliko and Malo Jezero. Malo Jezero is at the end of a sunken karst relief and is connected to Veliko Jezero by a man-made canal. As a result, the currents at low and high tide are felt more strongly. Malo Jezero is up to 29 meters deep and is slightly less salty. The Solina Channel connects Veliko Jezero and the open sea. The seawater in the lake flows restlessly to and fro as the tide changes every 6 hours. Mljetska jezera are surrounded by woody hills on which alpine pine trees and holm oak grow, reaching down the shore. The Benedictine monk Ignat Đurđević wrote this in the 18th century. The trees cover the hilltops and reach down to the sea, hiding the shore. If you are on a boat, then it feels like you are sailing through a forest. The roots seek sustenance from the waters, while the treetops arch down, bearing fruits in the shape of beautiful shellfish. Solina is a tranquil spot situated at a place where the restless sea and the calm waters of the lakes meet. Our next dive is at Veliki Most. Not so long ago, there was a watermill here. The currents at low and high tide are very strong. The open sea surges in and out of Veliko Jezero, lifting particles from the seabed and making the waters murky. This is an ideal spot for coral, and this colony of coral is one of the largest coral reefs in the Mediterranean. The reef grows on the rocky bottom and is full of holes and undersea caves. This is ideal accommodation for a wary lodger who does not like to wander far from home and who even prefers to hunt unsuspecting prey on his doorstep. This is the grouper. Its home usually has 2 doors. Next door is an even bigger surprise, a rare type of dusky Seranus. It is hunting time for the colony. A ring of transparent tendrils encircles a mouth and rises from a solid shell. All in all, this creature is barely 1 centimeter long, but the colony successfully manages to cover the entire seabed. Others have also set up house here, like this beautiful tube worm. This shellfish has a comfortable home at the foot of the colony. The white gobies are also here. The mobile rock in the middle of the colony is in fact a Noah's Ark shellfish. Although we have scared the shellfish away, this striped blenny is quick to return to its spot. The bottom around the reef is silty, whereas the shallows are rocky and covered in algae. This is a favorite grazing ground for the rainbow wrasse, while this common two-banded sea bream chooses to ignore us. It's unbelievable the amount of fish you can see in one place. The Benedictines arrived on Mljet in the 12th century and built the Church of St. Mary on an islet in the middle of Veliko Jezero. It is mentioned in the papal bull from 1198. The solitary beauty and antiquity of the church and monastery are riveting even today. This is an impressive white building. This single-naved Romanesque beauty has a forecourt and is built of carefully hewn stone. The altar space is divided into 3 parts and raised slightly. It has a semicircular apse. These are the dome, the gables, and ornamental arcades. The church is a typical example of Apulian Romanesque and seems to radiate peace and harmony from a distant century. In the forecourt, the column capitals are decorated in a leaf motif. The monastery stands next to the church. Unfortunately, it was closed down in 1808 as ordered by Napoleon. Next to the church and monastery, there is a fragrant garden and woods. A unique landscape and a unique experience. Babina Kuće is a small village on the shores of Veliko Jezero. It is not a very old village, and its white facades shelter against the dark hillside and its fragrant surroundings. Goviđari is on an elevation on the way to the village of Pomena. It is one of the few villages that knows exactly when it was founded, April 8, 1793. This was when the Benedictines allowed some of the families from Babino Polje to settle here. Pomena is on the coast and was once the fishing village of the people from Goviđari. Today, it is a tourist resort. It is a quiet Mediterranean corner surrounded by woods and a view of the islands. The fishermen see us off on their way to meet schools of black-tailed sea bream, soap, and sardines. As we dive down, we admire the teeming life on the rock face. The sandy seabed always has some surprises in store. The creatures that live here are very secretive. This is a species of sole, and if it had not decided to swim away, it would have been difficult to spot. It looks a bit wall-eyed as it can move both eyes independently. This small flag behind its eyes is in fact its pectoral fin and is used for steering. This lizardfish carefully looks for a hiding hole in the sand. The cowrie snail is only a couple of centimeters long. It is a very rare creature and is protected by law. These mollusks both feed off and live on the same stinger. This is a flabellina, and the odendrium stinger looks like a tree. This is what a mollusk looks like when it is somewhere in between. It both has and does not have a shell. This is the umbraculum sea slug, and this little round disc is all that is left of its shell. Just under the surface, a small grouper encounters divers for the first time. At first, it is curious, but on second thought, it decides it would be better to run for cover. These soap do not bat an eyelid and continue to graze peacefully and are joined by gray mullets. All this clamor has upset this little fish, which lives under the rocks. There is life among the amphorae remains. And while the peacock wrasse dances for his mate, we gather together like a school of soap and surface. The village of Polace grew up around and is named after the antique remains of a palace. These are the remains of a villa rustica, and there are many of them on the island. Legend has it that this palace was built by Agizilai from Cilicia in Asia Minor, who was banished to the verdant island of Mniet by Emperor Septimius Severus. The palace was once rectangular in shape with true protruding towers on the facade facing the sea. There used to be gardens and an orchard around the villa. However, according to historians and archaeologists, this was the palace of the regional Roman prefect. No matter which version was correct, it is still one of the most important Roman monuments on the coast of Croatia. A little further on, we come across the ruins of an old Christian basilica dating back to the 5th or 6th century. We can only dream about what it was like to have the sun rise above this beautiful palace that smelt of honey, wine, and olive oil. The craggy rocks are always a good hiding place for many interesting creatures. And this is a colony of red coral. On the sandy bottom, a mullet digs away looking for food. A lazy rainbow wrasse hovers above it, waiting to see if it can grab a free bite. But the mullet is very thorough and is not interested in sharing with freeloaders. This starfish has lost one of its tentacles. This is not a serious problem, however, as it will grow back. Hidden in the sand, this stargazer lies in wait. It is an evil-looking fish, with a row of dangerous teeth that lies in wait for unsuspecting little fish to swim close enough for it to gobble. In the shallows, the soap are still grazing. Alongside are a common two-banded sea bream and a rainbow wrasse. A beautiful, brightly colored Croatian sea slug sits on an eudendrium stinger. Blato is in the central part of the island next to a wide plain and mudflat. It lies hidden behind the northern ridge of the island. The mudflat is dry during the summer, but fills up during the winter and is home to migratory birds and eels. The plain is good for raising vines, and so the village has always been famous for its viticulture. Kozarica is Blato's harbor. Near there is a salt flat that has been turned into fertile orchards and vegetable farms. As the sun sets over the island, the undersea world comes alive and the hunting starts. It is a dark, moonless night. In the dark, even the seabed seems to be asleep. Here and there, a sea spider or two saunter lazily by. The Noah's Ark shellfish are closed. The painted comber stands still. Maybe it is asleep with its eyes wide open. The relentless pen shells continue to filter water. This dentex is getting ready to go to sleep. It stares at us in wonder, contemplating where the light is coming from. We are off to visit the microcosmos of the coral reef. The creatures here are measured in millimeters. While the coral sways its tendrils, this little transparent shrimp clambers across it. Its progress is clumsy and halting. Its feet and pincers keep getting stuck among the coral, which is full of tiny hooks. The poison in the hooks of this coral does not penetrate the shrimp's protective shell. this microscopic world, this sepula, which is 3 centimeters long and a relative of the cuttlefish, seems like a giant as it digs in. This scallop is out on reconnaissance. It uses its long feelers to explore its surroundings. The feelers have organs similar to eyes that can differentiate between light and shadow. The weaver is famous for its poisonous dorsal spine and gill spines. The female sea spider has to take good care of her eggs. She does this by keeping them under her tail. This small illy crab is digging in to hide from predators. This sea anemone is trying to catch itself some dinner with little success. Its challenger, the halcompoid stinger, although much smaller in size, has better luck with the same prey. A strange creature makes its way towards the dark depths. This flat-headed sea slug is 20 centimeters long.
Yet another intriguing creature floating down to the beautiful and calm sandy depths around Mliet.
Who knows how many more secrets these depths may have in store? Beauty is a reflection of the truth. That is what the Greeks believed. In the Middle Ages, the Benedictines believed it too and played an important role in cultivating the Christian spirit of the island. When the Benedictine monks Marin, Shimun, and Vilim landed on this island in the 12th century, they decided to build their monastery on the island. They discovered that Mliet shone in the sun like an emerald, and that its beauty was its truth.